On sanctuary policies in the state of Illinois, Immigration and Customs Enforcement saying that Governor Pritzker is overseeing the release of more than 1,700 dangerous criminal illegal aliens since the 20th of January, including murderers, pedophiles, and kidnappers, sending them back into neighborhoods and putting American lives at risk.
We have some serious live breaking news on the invasion of America. There's no other way to talk about it other than those contexts and in those specific terms. I've got new information on mentally Ilhan Omar that has come out in the huge, probably the biggest fraud case in U.S. history that's happened in Minnesota under Tim Walz's watch, as well as Alabama. And I've got secret leaked audio of the attempt to get a driver's license by foreign bad actors. It's a lot easier than you think. This is going to be shocking. And then the coup de grace, vegetable in chief, Joe Biden was warned that his immigration policy in a new leaked memo was going to cause chaos and damage the United States of America. And he ignored it. I'm going to share all of that with you and a whole lot more. But first, check this out. ICE just sent a letter to Sanctuary State, Illinois' AG, whose name is Kwame. Interesting because Mamdani's name is Kwame too. I like to recognize patterns, folks. They handed over more than 4,000 illegals. They're demanding, ICE is demanding more than 4,000 illegals in their custody. Illinois has released more than 1,700 criminal illegals, as you heard in the report in the beginning. And these are some of the worst of the worst. Check out this letter. These last two paragraphs are the most important. Since January 20th, 2025, the state of Illinois has released over 1,700 with active ICE detainers back onto American streets. The crimes of these aliens include 5 homicides, 141 assaults, 23 burglaries, 4 robberies, 24 dangerous drugs offenses, 15 weapons offenses, and 10 predatory offenses. In my September 15th letter, ICE continues, I ask that you cease this practice, which plainly jeopardizes public safety. You have not responded to that letter. I'm writing now to provide details with just how dangerous your current course is. There are currently 4,015 aliens in the custody of an Illinois jurisdiction with active detainers. The crimes of these aliens include 51 homicides, 1,100 assaults, 107 burglaries, 36 robberies, 275 dangerous drug offenses, 120 weapons offenses, and 813 predatory offenses. Attached are examples of where your failures have failed the American people. Please confirm whether the state of Illinois plans to honor detainers or whether each of these barbarians will someday walk the streets of Illinois again. And you want to get a picture of who the Democrats fight tooth and nail for? You want to get a nice 3D look at who these individuals are that get all the energy, resources, all of the time of elected officials who are supposed to serve us Americans? Check out these winners. There they are, folks. Look at those headshots. These are the people that are being protected by Governor Pretzel and every Democrat and hypocrite above. They have been confirmed criminals engaging in some of the worst crimes known to our country, and they were just let loose. You tell me, why do you think that is? Well, I'm going to answer. Stick around. More to come. I want to talk about this. Alabama law enforcement agency and ICE detained 82 drivers on immigration holds during inspections along high crash corridors. Troopers referred 242 people for checks, with most arrests from 2 strike force operations on October 27th to 30th and November 16th to 18th. 12 had no license, while others held out of state ones. Governor Kay Ivey highlighted the effort to hold illegal bad actors accountable after deadly crashes like that this summer. The Thomasville incident, where a foreign driver with no English at all, did not know English, which is a requirement to get a CDL, ran a red light, ending 2 lives. Officials, trucking groups, and federal partners praised this teamwork for protecting highways and supporting legal drivers. We also had that incident in California where a coach and his wife were unalived by a guy who didn't know English, failed the CDL test something like 15, 20 times, and was caught confirmed, verified, let in this country by Biden. Wait till I get to the Biden story. That is really the nuclear bomb of this video today. But I want to share this. Check out. You want to know how easy it is to get a driver's license in a blue run sanctuary city? This is Lewiston, Maine DMV, a recorded call. It is insane how easy it is for illegals to get driver's licenses in Maine. From the Enquirer saying, quote, I called on behalf of Muhammad, an illegal foreigner from Somalia who speaks no English and killed someone driving in his home country. Check out this call, how easy it is.
So as long as he brought his birth certificate from Africa, he'll be okay to get his driver's license?
So that is one form of ID that we can accept for the exam process to get him started. The other one needs to bear a signature.
So would you take like a country ID? Because they do kind of similar to
Yeah,
state.
you know if that's been signed, if
has,
there's
yeah.
an immature.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I looked at it. So as long as he has his birth certificate from his home country in Africa and a driver's license that has a signature from his country, that should be okay?
So we would be able to use that out-of-country ID for the signature piece as long as that birth certificate has been translated. Do you know if it has?
Yes, yeah, he does have his, yeah.
It is translated. Okay,
Yeah.
Then yep.
Awesome.
We could. Yep.
Okay, so his name's Muhammad. I guess now the next step would be this. He doesn't speak any English. Is the test done in Somalian?
So for the Class C language, we do translate in Somalia. On that form, that application that I was talking about earlier, there's a box on there that says oral. He would just need to check that.
And how many can you get wrong?
So it is a 30-question multiple choice questions. Once he hits 6, the test will automatically shut off.
Okay, so he can only get 5 wrong out of the 30 to be safe.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
No, this is good. This is actually that's actually pretty easy. So he has to get 25 right out of the 30. He did have an issue in Somalia with his driving. Is that going to impact it, or do you guys just not connect with it?
We don't have reciprocity from one country to another, so we don't pull a driving record or anything along those lines.
So so if it did lead to an accidental death, when he was driving, he was actually going over a crosswalk and hit a jogger. That's not going to impact the driver's license here, right?
We wouldn't be able to access those records. So again, we don't have reciprocity from one country to another, so we wouldn't be able to pull those records.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I'm going to go go down and meet him and get some translators.
After doing some digging, I found that in other states not run by blue hypocrites who hate America, the process for getting a CDL, the process for being on the roads of American highways as a commercial driver's license certified driver are much more rigorous, and they do check background and they do check previous driving records. So this is happening in Maine under sanctuary city states. We also have Illinois. We also now have just discovered that mentally Ilhan Omar, check this out. This is a groundbreaking bombshell. She claims she didn't know anything about it. She claims she was one of the first people to report this. She claimed that, yeah, she might have been, it might have had Somalians in her district, but it had nothing to do with her. Well, check this out. It has now been discovered that, this is amazing, that mentally Ilhan Omar filed legislation that led to $250 million being defrauded. She held events at one of the restaurants named in a fraud case and had a former staffer convicted in a fraud investigation. You're going to tell me she didn't know about this? You're going to tell me that she's innocent? That is a bunch of bull shiznizzle magizzle is what I like to call that. Ilhan Omar must be fully investigated, and if she is even near a molecule hair breadth close to this fraud, she needs to be denaturalized and deported. If you're with me, give me a yeah in the comments right now. And now for the coup de grace. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is the absolute bombshell of all bombshells. A new leaked memo has just come out, as reported by the New York Post, that Biden was warned of his soft on immigration proposals. He was warned that they would cause chaos, but he ignored it. This memo is just going to be an atomic bomb. It should be played over and over during the midterms. I'm going to read some of this. President Joe Biden was warned by advisors that his immigration plans could lead to chaos. His team doled out the advice to Biden when he was still campaigning against Trump back in 2020. Quote, a potential surge could create chaos and a humanitarian crisis, overwhelm processing capacities, and imperil the agenda of the new administration, end quote, Biden's advisors wrote. The memo warned that a huge influx was possible given Biden's approach, a backlog from the Trump administration. His team offered up steps that Biden could take to thwart an influx, including ways to reject immigration claims more easily, potentially holding asylum seekers in reception centers until their cases. However, Biden opted to ignore the advice. When he took office just months later, his policy advisors continued to urge him to crack down on border crossings and increase it. Guess what, folks? Is this a big shock or is this a big shock? Advice fell on deaf ears again after top aides suggested a crackdown would, get this, alienate progressive voters, and that immigration wasn't a major concern for Americans living in non-border states. I've said it once, folks. I've said it twice. I've said it ad infinitum, ad nauseum. The hypocrites, aka the Democrats, can no longer win elections from actual American citizens. So what do? They imported all their voters and promised them free health care, $10,000 credit cards, SNAP and EBT benefits up the wazoo, paid for by us, the hardworking, law-abiding, tax-paying citizens. Promised them accelerated citizenship, amnesty, healthcare benefits, and the whole 9 yards. I don't care if you're a terrorist. I don't care if you're a rapist. I don't care if you're a murderer. I don't care if you're a good person or bad person. I don't care what your driving record was like in Somalia. I don't care if you killed people in the past. We don't care. Are you going to vote Democrat? Perfect. Come on in. This is the biggest crime in American history. This is mutiny. This is acts of sedition. This is treason of the highest order. Now does it make sense, ladies and gentlemen, why they fight tooth and nail? Now does it make sense, ladies and gentlemen, why they advocate for military to not take orders from their commander-in-chief? Literally, that's an act of sedition in the most boldest obvious fashion imaginable. Now does it make sense why they fight and use language like sweeping brown and black people off the streets in masked cars by masked individuals, when these are simply law enforcement officers trying to fix our country, law enforcement officers doing their job, law enforcement officers given the permission to fight crime. President Trump has made crime illegal again. I want to also share this really quickly. Here's Tom Homan talking about an incredible development confirming that 62,000 children have been found that were brought across the border under Biden. Watch.
I look at the numbers every day. On Friday, I looked at the numbers. There's over 62,000 children found by the Trump administration. Children that weren't even being looked for under the Biden administration. President Trump saved over 62,000 children's lives. Some of these children were in sex trafficking, we found them. Some were in forced labor. Some were being mistreated. I can't even discuss some of the mistreatment we found out about. President Trump, again, proves why he's the greatest president in my lifetime. Over 62,000 children rescued by President Trump. Again, children that were ignored and weren't being looked for under President Biden.
If you're like me and you think Tom Homan deserves a bronze statue for his heroic efforts, his Herculean achievements, and energy that he's put towards saving America, keeping America safe, give me a huge yeah in the comments down below. You know, I was talking to my good friend Stephen Gardner, who we've been doing a lot of collaborating lately, and we plan on doing a lot more. You know, really at the kind of behest of you guys, all your comments have been so rewarding and encouraging for the two of us to get together, and we love hanging out with each other. He's an awesome dude. Highly recommend you subscribe to his channel. We were talking about, you know, protecting ourselves because there's been a lot more attacks by these crazy leftists. You know, Tim Pool's house got shot up. You had Matt Walsh and never mind, you know, Charlie Kirk and the assassination attempts on our president, but Benny Johnson and Matt Walsh and Cat Turd from X all being threatened and having their lives jeopardized and swatted and all sorts of crap. Can you imagine how many death threats, how many violent attacks that Tom Homan gets on a day-to-day basis? Can you even fathom what Bovino, who is the Border Patrol chief, how many death threats, how many violent, vile, treasonous, just despicable attacks he gets on a day-to-day basis? He talked about this against CNN's fake news, woke news, CNN's Dana Bash recently in a clip that I want to share right here, Tom Homan, when CNN's Dana Bash said, your tactics seem a little bit aggressive. Don't you have any reservations? Watch this.
And there's just the aggressive tactics that we are seeing in video after video. You're comfortable with those tactics that we're all seeing with our own eyes?
Look, threats on ICE officers are up 1,200%. They're being doxxed on social media. They're getting death threats every day. They've been attacked. They've been shot at, and you know, these officers out there look for the worst of the worst. So they're protecting themselves, and I think they're following the law. And if any ICE officer, Border Patrol agent, acts out of policy or does something inappropriate, they'll be held accountable. But we got to remember, I mean, they're under attack, and we're at a place in this country where all of a sudden the ones who enforce the law are the bad guys, and the ones who broke the laws are victims. I'm going to trust the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol who've been trained very well. They're doing the right thing. But I'll say again, if someone does something inappropriate, out of policy, illegal, they need to be held accountable. But I simply think I haven't seen that. And again, I'm not in every arrest. I'm not in every operation. I trust the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol to do the right thing.
I'm with you, Tom, and I think most Americans are too. And if you are too, let me know in the comments down below. You know, I think we afford law enforcement officers and federal agents the permission and opportunity, given the fact that every single day they wake up, kiss their family, their wife, their husband goodbye to go do their job. Their life is in jeopardy. There's not too many jobs out there, folks, that have that kind of occupational hazard, and the stakes are that high. So I think we should give them a little bit of leeway. They've been completely hijacked over the last maybe even longer than that. Even Obama, going back to Obama's era, I think they've been kind of suppressed and had like almost forced to walk on eggshells just to do their job, given all of the backlash, given all of the hate, just for maybe a few bad actors. Like, there's a few bad actors in every field. So of course, are there going to be people who engage and have power trips and power abuse issues? Of course, but the majority, and believe you me, as somebody who taught in the public sector at the university, I can say this unequivocally. My favorite students of all time, the most respectful, professional, listened, open, receptive, non-egoic, completely just absolute professionals through and through, were law enforcement officers in my classes. So I can vouch for this, and I think we should give them a little bit of leeway. It's about time they be given permission to do their job, to protect us, American citizens, and our families. You do your thing. We back you, American heroes. Please tap that thumbs up. It helps us out immensely. You could even do it on your remote if you're watching on TV. Share this with everybody. I can't wait to hear your comments on this. Let me know in the comments down below. Check out all of these videos right here, coming up right here on the screen. Tap my face right here to subscribe and follow. It doesn't cost you a thing. And as always, may God bless you, and may God bless the USA and all who defend her. I'll see you soon.